Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of Holding Court with Empress West Hollywood. My name is Enoch Miller, your Empress here and West Hollywood. Thank you guys all for turning in today. We're really excited to have the show, and also we want to do a special thank you to our sponsors, GayLifeLA.com and also White Rabbit Partners for having this amazing studio here. We also want to give another amazing shout out to our official sponsor, Impulse Group. For anyone who doesn't know, Impulse Group is an all-volunteer community organization that started in West Hollywood roughly about 9 years ago, and it has about 22 chapters around the world. They advocate for safe, sexy, and healthy lifestyles here in the community, in the gay community, transgender, LGBT, a whole shebang. You can go to impulsegroup.org to check out more information, or Impulse LA on their Facebook to kind of see what they're all about. We'll have some more information about things coming up for them at the end of the show. But we do want to welcome our amazing guest, Magnus Hastings. Hi, Magnus.
Hi.
So, Magnus is like, I mean, you're basically the be-all, end-all when it comes to drag photography, quite frankly.
Well, thank you. Arguably. Thank you.
Arguably. So, but you're from London.
Yeah.
You were born, well, you weren't born in London. You were just...
I was born in Norfolk,
In
which
Norfolk,
is
okay.
2 hours out of London.
Okay.
And then moved to London when I was 1.
Got
So
it. So you're just right, basically,
Yeah.
there. Okay. And then, so growing up in that, you went to school in, let's see if I have it, King Alfred School.
yeah, I went to various schools, but King Alfred's is the one that kind of sticks with me.
Got it.
And was a sort of free, progressive, mixed, lots of pop stars kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I was suspended and booted out and sent for smoking cigarettes when I was
Ow.
11 or 12 or something. And then was sent to a sort of more what you'd call a public school. That was
Okay.
a private school, and then I was sent to a public school.
Got it. Okay.
Which
So-
I actually had a better time at, but, you know.
At the public school?
Yeah.
Which makes
'cause-
sense.
Yeah.
So, and then you went to do you did Chelsea Art School, and then you also studied acting at Guildhall.
Yeah. So I went to Chelsea because I dropped out of my public school.
Right.
Because I wouldn't do any work for my exams because
Got
I'm
it.
one of those heads that if I'm not interested,
I don't
can't.
care. Yeah.
So I got myself into a really good art school, but it was kind of a fluke. I think I just made them laugh in the interview, and my
So
work
it's
was like,
perfect.
okay. And so I got in and went there, but I didn't. I always wanted to act. I was a child actor.
Got it.
I was in things when I was in various things when I was a child, and I was in a big West End show when I was 11.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'd always wanted to.
So was it all European shows, or was there anything that came over?
No,
the
it was all. It
pond?
was the big thing I did was a production of Hamlet, which was like
Oh,
the
great.
toast of London.
Oh, wow.
And Jonathan Pryce, if you know who he is,
Sounds familiar, but I don't
he's
know.
he's a huge. He was in. You have to go back. He was in something like. He was a James Bond villain in. that
Oh,
one,
okay.
In The World Is Not Enough, I think it was.
Okay, then maybe I have heard his name before.
He's
then.
like one of the. He's a classical, huge British actor. But
Oh,
He was
okay.
Hamlet, and I was the player Queen. I was 12. Which the whole point of Hamlet was that the players
Okay.
who they would always have boys with unbroken voices playing the girl's part.
Oh.
So I was the player Queen. So they were doing it that
Because
way.
nothing had
And then
dropped
they
yet.
just not that there was a signal to my mother.
Mom, we're getting
She
him
was
ready.
still like, when's he getting a girlfriend?
Right. After I get out of these heels.
Yeah.
But you realize though quite early on that you really, I mean, just you enjoyed the acting, but it really wasn't for you.
Well, no, I didn't. I taught myself photography. But my dad was sort of semi-professional, and
Okay.
I found all his old enlarging equipment, no pun intended, and turned my bedroom into a darkroom.
Okay.
Again,
No pun intended.
when I was 15, and I just sort of taught myself. But I always wanted to be an actor, and or I thought I did,
Yeah.
and it was. The only thing I regret now is not actually really studying photography because
Okay.
I was so busy at drama school, and
Right.
you know I was an actor till I was 30.
Okay.
Really. And I was in the West End doing a big
So
show
like 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
But I feel that's so amazing though that you're actually a self-taught photographer. I mean, that's not an easy thing to teach yourself.
It was weird. So when I got the equipment, it's like I wouldn't look at a book, and for some reason I just was trial and error, and I
Okay.
knew what I wanted, and I've got a really good eye.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
understand
obviously,
light.
yeah,
I see
yeah,
light. And I
yeah.
always thought other people saw light. And I mean, when I'm looking at you or looking at anything, I'm seeing where the light's falling
Got
all the
it.
time. It's how my brain works. So I remember the day I got a picture. You know, I had the trays in my bedroom, and I was,
doing all the chemicals,
doing the
and mixing
chemicals,
and all that stuff.
and then also secretly smoking cigarettes and drinking wine. But no, and I remember getting this one picture exactly how I wanted it, and little breakthroughs, and just it was working it out. And I think that's quite a interesting way of doing it.
Very much trial and error with everything.
But then you really understand stuff.
Okay. And so it just really gave you, because, the fact that, first of all, yes, you do need that eye, because if you can't pick out a good shot, or if you can't figure out how something looks, especially with the lighting is always, I feel, is the biggest issue photographers have to deal with. And the fact that, just on at 15, just a trial and error basis to where you are today,
it was all natural light to start with, and then once I changed career. Yeah, once I was doing a play, and I decided that I was done with acting. Luckily, while I was working, I just suddenly went. I was over it.
I've had it.
Yeah, and I was sick of being poor and waiting for other people to decide when I worked and all of that stuff. So I then just flipped over, and I was also became one of the top 5 headshot photographers in London. So and I'd shoot them in 20 minutes. I was so rich. It was really annoying. I was doing 5 a day and earning so much money, and I had my kitchen remodeled with just cash coming out of a tin.
And that's
insane.
I heard that because my partner used to do work for modeling agency, and they used to do that on the side of just doing headshots for you. And he said it was the easiest fast cash you can make with all that stuff. But because I became this hugely popular one, and then because it's a really hard thing to actually make a living at, but then when it clicked for me, and I became the sort of the go-to person for all the big drama schools, and I had a very specific way of shooting, and it just worked. But I wanted to kill myself. It was can you imagine drama school students saying, I want to focus on film, and their eyes are doing this? And God. I can only imagine with that. How many times did you have to break their heart going like, no,
but there was one girl who said, she said she had her red hair kind of plastered on her head, and I said to her, I said something like, just look at me like that, and she went, I can't, this eye doesn't move. And I went, and she said, no, she said, why can't I be seen for Tess of the D'Urbervilles? And I went, it's like she had bad skin and one eye that didn't move. It's called delusion. So, I'm glad to say I don't do that anymore.
My God, and you're gay when?
Yeah.
When you can tell someone, sorry, sweetie, no, that's not happening.
I tried. I was a bit mean to her, but I was sort of supportive.
But, you got picked up pretty early on by Time Out magazine.
Well, no, I switched careers, and then I naively went into a place that had exhibitions. It was like a gay bar, but it was the respectable gay bar that had a 2-year wait for shows.
Oh, wow.
And I went in there, and I said, can I have a show? And because I knew somebody, and I said, do you want to see some pictures? And I showed them a couple of things, and they went, okay. So I had my first show, which was quite clever, because I took very, very well known, like the gay scene celebrities.
Right.
So I shot them, and there was a couple of drag queens in there, and I shot them and did these huge, colourful. They were all natural light, but they were huge, colourful pictures, and I had them sort of pressed onto. So they were really bold and had a sense of humour. And
were they on how big were they?
They were like 30 by 40s pressed onto PVC. So they were just how I like stuff. It's like a
big, bold, and beautiful.
Yeah, and so I put these up. I remember putting them up and going, I like them, but I was because you put them up at night, and then it was going to open the next day.
Right.
And I went. I had no idea if they were any good. And then the next day, Time Out, somebody from Time Out came in and saw them, and then they wrote about them, and then everyone got into it, and I sold them all. And then the big gay magazines immediately came to me and asked me to start shooting their covers.
Yeah, because you did some real, Attitude, Boys, QX International. These are not some
I've
little
done all of
magazines.
them, yeah.
It's just so amazing to find that, that people loved your work. What was kind of the initial reaction when you started getting this really great feedback?
It was amazing. It was just believing in in what you see. And my biggest thing immediately was, this is what I love doing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to me much more than acting.
Got it.
It was,
something clicked more with
it. It's what I should be doing.
Got it.
I get I got to get virtually stage fright when I act. I get, but also do a long run and I get bored.
Right.
I'm 6'4", so I'm way too tall.
Right.
Because everyone else in acting, as most people know, is tiny.
Yeah, they're like 6 foot.
Except for Jeff Goldblum, whatever. But you know,
Right.
it's like everyone's tiny, and you're 6'2" is sort of the max.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm 6'4", and you can't. I'm fine next to women because I
Right.
make them look little and
Right.
gorgeous, but next to other men, you make them look tiny. So I did a movie where I was literally leaning and sitting through the whole thing.
Because they wanted to make you look shorter.
Yeah, because the
Oh,
lead
wow.
guy was short.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But really, you kind of found your aesthetic, which was drag photography, and kind of show us like what was that? How did that lead into to drag from just what you were doing with the portraits and the fun stuff of that? How did it turn into almost everything you were doing being drag photography?
Well, it started with that show. I did 2 drag queens, and I was very into the real fishy, confusing drag at that time because that was the most confrontational.
So was it more like gender illusion or drag?
It was
drag?
it was more gender illusion. It was Courtney and
Okay.
but it was before Courtney. But it was the
Got
first
it.
one I did with this incredible black queen called Darcy, who I just remember seeing and thinking she was so beautiful. And because I was kind of new to the gay scene,
Got it.
she just blew my mind.
Got it.
And then I finally pinned her down, and she flipped out about the pictures, and it was also so from that I guess I went to Sydney.
Got it.
And drag is where I felt at home.
Got it.
Because I was this child who used to cross dress, and my father once said, you can earn a living doing that. And my mother was a little trickier with it. But it was something that I'd been a little drag child.
Yeah.
And so it was weird. When I arrived I took myself off to Sydney. I sold my flat and I went to Sydney to get out of London. And
this was just in 2005.
yeah.
Yeah. So not even that long ago.
No. But I remember getting there and just going, it was like coming home.
Okay.
That going into this incredible, colourful, amazing drag scene, and the first person I think I saw was Vanity Fair.
Oh, wow.
Vanity
Yeah,
Fair.
I've seen her stuff.
Yeah, but she was dressed as Dorothy,
Okay.
and she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
And I saw you actually did a photo.
It's in my book.
It's in his book, and it's stunning. She's just and she literally looks just like.
She
Dorothy.
looks just like Dorothy, apart from her calves.
Look from the skirt tip.
No,
up.
she's phenomenal, and I think it was. She told me recently it was the first wig she'd ever made. She made it herself. And
She
the
did.
first
She
wig
made
she
that
ever
wig.
made.
Wow.
And she's phenomenal.
Oh,
and
she
it's
looks
still
stunning.
it's my favorite. One of my, but about my favorite.
He loves
picture.
all his.
No, but
photos.
this picture I have in my living room a huge canvas of it, and it's just it means a lot to me.
And I mean, it's amazing too because you're also doing this whole hybrid of doing celebrity, but also doing drag photography as well during this whole time.
Well, I was doing Girls Aloud. I was
Right.
doing the Sugar Bear. I was doing basically the gay magazines came to me, or to one in particular, Boys and QX came, and they would get me to do all their celebrity stuff.
Got
So
it.
I was always doing covers and then inside spreads, and that's where I kind of learnt everything.
Got it.
Was I would have been told I was shooting Girls Aloud,
Yeah.
and then I went, oh, I think I need to use lights. So I did like a 2-day class, and I did 1 day of it, and they said, go off and do an exercise, and I thought, I haven't got time to do their exercise.
Right.
I have to shoot Girls Aloud, but I'll take what I learnt today, and
And
I'm not
apply
going to
it
come
to
back
that.
for the second day because I'm going to look like a complete cunt if I've got. Well, there's Girls Aloud. So, but then it was the best. I shot Janice Dickinson. I did.
Oh wow.
She was so nice, and I thought she was going to. I'd heard horror stories.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, you always wonder, it's like and especially with celebrities, like, what was you feel? Because I know a lot of them can be very testy. They can be very
Ellie
particular.
Goulding. Anyway, sorry.
There you go. Ellie Goulding. Bye, girl. What do you feel was like your favorite thing working about it, and then what do you feel sometimes was the worst thing about working with celebrities?
I don't know. It's with all of it. That's why I love doing drag stuff.
Okay.
Because there's so much freedom. The worst thing about working with celebrities is management.
Got it.
And publicists.
Got it. Okay.
Because they try and shut everything down. So you come up with an idea. Like I came up with this thing for Boy George, and the publicist said no. I wanted him with a shopping trolley.
Oh.
We also at the time he was bigger, and so I thought it would. He was self-conscious about his body, and it would cover most of his body.
Got it.
But he'd
So
have
cut
a
out the
shopping
bottom
trolley,
part.
and then they immediately the publicist just went no. And then on the day I thought, fuck her. I went and I got the shopping trolley, dragged it into my studio, filled it with the things that I wanted, and when she arrived I said, iconic brands for an icon, and she went, "Oh my god, I love it." So it's that that part's exhausting, but when you get most of those people, the actual celebrities are creative and fun and fun to work with. When you get locked into them without.
Well, and I know it's why you had said before, in lots of different interviews you've talked about how that when it came to drag photography, there was basically no limits to what you could do with a lot of that.
I mean, it's getting more and more management, but it was.
Right.
You know, I have Courtney rolling around in a dumpster with fake rats all over her in the middle because she's an exception because we play around together all the time.
Well, and she's, I feel, been the one that's worked with you the longest.
She's worked with me since Australia. So the second year I went, I met Courtney.
Okay.
And we did a shoot I did a big magazine spread of the Sydney drag queens, and she was one. They demanded her because she was a big name.
Was this right after she had won Australia's Got Talent?
She didn't win Australian Idol. She didn't win it.
Oh, she didn't win it?
No.
Well, everyone wants her to win it because she won it in our hearts. But no, this was when she was doing that whole Australian Idol.
She'd just come off the back of that.
Okay.
Her management were trying to keep her away from drag and push her as almost as a real woman. It was very weird, and the other drag girls were kind of a bit about it. But then I didn't meet her the first year, and then the next year I came back and there's a magazine called Blue Magazine, which has now stopped. It was beautiful, and I walked in and they'd heard about me, and I showed them. First of all, the editor went. She said, "Drag, it's kind of a niche market. Who wants to look at that?" And then she opened my portfolio and went, "Oh, it's pop art," and gave me an 8-page spread, and demanded Courtney, and so I then. It was our first shoot, which I still love, and she's dressed as a surgeon pulling on a rubber glove.
Okay. I have seen that one. Yeah, it looks very much like there's an album cover I remember seeing of it was like Bowling for Soup of some girl, and there was someone did a side by side of her with that. And it looked very similar.
But it came out of my mind.
There it goes.
It wasn't stolen.
Magnus first. So, but you've done a lot of other cool stuff that I thought was really interesting. You did a cabaret hybrid with a burlesque superstar in Modesty Blaze and cabaret queen Meow Meow.
Well, Meow I work with still all the time.
Okay.
I just did her new show stuff, and she's now one of my great friends.
I mean, she's stunning.
She's stunning, and also the most incredible performer. If you ever get a chance to see her.
Well, and it's fun because it's such a similar genre between burlesque and cabaret. But the fact that there's such different intricacies between the two, it's really cool to see that those two collide.
Well, there's also drag. It's like
drag, exactly.
With Melly, Meow Meow, she has this character, Meow Meow, and she goes after the show, she meets people in character.
Okay.
She's actually an Australian blonde, and she's got always dark and got a fake cigarette in her hand, and talks in a kind of weird transatlantic voice. And she's very much, she's just a drag character.
Yeah. And I really loved, and also what the great thing about Immodesty is she's that original burlesque, the girl with the curves. Yeah. But also she was inducted into the Burlesque Hall of Fame in Las Vegas for reigning queen of burlesque in 2007, and it was so funny to find that out about her because we had a guy in here, his name's Tito Bonito, and he was most comedic for burlesque just this year.
Oh wow!
In the Las Vegas Hall of Fame. So, but in Modesty, it's just she's that authentic, and it makes sense why she's the reigning queen in 2007 because of that.
Oh, she's amazing. She's that really curvy, statuesque, old school. She looks like an old school movie star.
Yeah. And it's just, she just moves so elegantly. she gives you body for days, and I think that's why I love watching some of the videos I've seen up online about her, and it's actually really amazing.
She does. I remember first seeing her show, and she does sort of caricature-y sex faces. It's very stylized burlesque. It's like she's going, ooh. It's like like little girls in pageants when they do kissy lips.
Yes.
And things
oh
like
my
that.
God. It's exactly.
It feels
like that.
slightly like that, but it's a sex version.
Yeah.
And she once said to me. She just said, "Do you know what? I never want to have sex because my whole life is spent being sexy and everything's about sex." So her poor fiance at the time, or her boyfriend, would just never get laid because she'd be just like, "Oh no, can't be bothered."
Because I do it all day.
Yeah,
basically.
all day.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But every time I shot her, she'd be running around naked. She was fun, and I worked with this incredible friend of mine called Harvey Bertram Brown, who is now just winning awards for he's directed, and he's a big he directs huge things in Bollywood, and he also does a lot of stuff in England as well. He's really colourful and campy.
Got it.
He's done loads of pop videos. that you've probably seen. Loads of Girls Aloud. I did all of about 8 Girls Aloud videos.
Oh, fantastic!
But Modesty and him and me all decided to get together and create stuff.
Okay.
So we did loads of shoots where we did a Jane Russell homage where Jane Russell's lying in the Outlaw of the movie.
Yes.
She's lying in
Yes.
in hay straw. And so basically he then just staple gunned this incredible gown on Immodesty, which is the fabric straw, and then we spread it behind her. So she's lying in straw material with a dress that blends in, that's made of straw, that is, he literally just went, put on her. And it's just, and she's so beautiful and old school. We just create crazy stuff together.
That's so amazing that you get a chance to do stuff like that. I mean, especially when you have, willing participants to just go and be like, let's try this crazy idea. If it works, awesome. If not, whatever, we'll make it work somehow.
And we just did it for the sake of it. It was, we kept going, we must do this or do something with it. And we never, in the end, actually, 4 of the images, or 6 of them, ended up in the recent burlesque book. But, we just would work together and create. And that was the point. And we must do a calendar. We must do this. And we'll just do it. We'll just sit there.
Yeah,
but we'd have fun.
Well, it's going to things that sit there. So in 2011, you moved back here to. You moved to here. Sorry, you moved to here to LA to start your project. Why Drag, which is your.
No, well, I moved here because I'd had enough of England. I'd gone as far as I thought I'd go.
Got it.
And in terms of, I was still very much a gay photographer, and so I was doing other stuff as well. But I went, okay, I want to.
You're going to get out of being just.
And it was initially to do celebrity stuff.
Got it.
And I came here, and then Courtney had just moved here.
Okay.
And she introduced me to. I immediately shot DWV, Willem, Detox, and Vicky.
Yeah.
And Raja. So she introduced me to a few people, and then I had a lot of. I was already well known in drag world as a drag photographer. When I first spoke to Madeline, Madeline Hatter in New York. Yeah. She immediately went, I know exactly who you are. This was, and so. If you knew about drag, if you're a real drag fan, not someone who's just watched TV and wants to be on Drag Race,
exactly,
then you knew about me.
Got it.
But so then I just started shooting that, and then I had a backlog of stuff, and I went, well, it's just sitting on file.
Okay.
So I created my Facebook page, Dragged Around the World, which I rarely post on now because it's all shifted. But it very, very quickly. People were really into it.
Well, you have these iconic shots of a lot of different queens. And the great thing about it is the fact that you don't quite honestly get to see a lot of this, like the shoots that are them having fun or doing something a little out there or crazy. Instead of this being this like professional photo shoot, it's professional, but it's you having this fun Magnus spin on it of, like you said, like Courtney rolling around in a trash can with fake rats or stuff like that. It's my favorite way of shooting. It's coming up with ideas or thinking on your feet or like the image. If we before. I'm thinking why drag came about. So I started just shooting things, and actually thinking about it, Dragged Around the World, it got known for having the top girls who were about to appear on Drag Race on it. So I did a door for, as you said before, you liked the picture of a door in front of the McDonald's, and that was exactly my favourite way of shooting. We just got in my car and we were just shooting against a wall, and I'd said to her, please put on your Budweiser swimsuit, because I'd seen it on Instagram or something. Yeah. And so she brought that, and it was before the show had aired, so no one knew, she was on it. And we ran around and did that, and then I suddenly went. She had her Marlboro bag and her swimsuit, and I went, let's go up to McDonald's and do it in front of her. And it's just doing that in the moment. Cars were honking at her. I can imagine. We're right in rush hour, but it's so there's so much adrenaline, and it's so exciting. Yeah. And you're just thinking. That's, I think, the point of my work, is I'll try everything. Okay. Sometimes You heard it here. He'll try anything. Boys, anything. Pretty much. But no, when I would travel around, when I was shooting the book, I would carry... I have this huge sort of pop-up background and stuff, but I'd always... So where I'd arrive in different states, cities, and... want to use the environment, but then if needs be, I could shoot in a hotel. So for instance, Bob in blackface was shot against this pop-up background. I remember in a hotel. That. Yeah. And Sharon, Sharon Needles. I dragged because I was supposed to shoot her. In the end, I had a 30-minute window to shoot her. Before she had to go on for the finale. No, we were all. It was the launch. Or was it the launch? The launch of season 6. Okay.
And so everyone was in New York, and I was actually sick, and I ended up going, and my assistant was was a drag queen. She was normally out of drag when she helped.
Okay.
And she was, oh God, I can't forget her name. Come back to you. But anyway, she decided to put drag on because of the going to this party. So, but the moment she was in drag, her whole attitude changed.
Oh,
so she was a fucking handful and useless.
She became a diva.
Yeah, and just went off to smoke with Sharon while I lugged all my shit around trying to do
God.
Yeah.
Well, and it was so funny with that one too because you were just had to drag her into the hallway.
Well, yeah.
To get that taken care
of.
of.
Well, because I turned up at the hotel, and it's the Hudson Hotel, which has the tiniest bedrooms.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so I walked in going, okay, I can't shoot here. What am I going to do? And I had this background, and I just ended up putting it in the T-junction of the hotel, hoping no security would come, because we were a complete fire hazard, blocking everything. You know, anyone on the corridor would have to squidge past this thing. And then I put Sharon in a straitjacket, which I brought with me, and then basically just went shooting like crazy, not checking anything, because I had no time.
Right.
And hoping I got the shot.
And you did.
And consequently got a shot.
And it's a great shot.
It's a really good shot, yeah.
Well, and it doesn't even, and again, it looks like you're in some professional studio. It doesn't look like you did this in the hallway.
Well, yeah, I mean,
hotel.
It's all about, again, it's light. It's how you light it.
Oh, exactly.
And a little tweak. And what I put in a padded cell afterwards.
I probably believe it. I'm sharing you have
No,
to.
I did. I put her in a padded cell. And then the worst was I then did, because I put Bianca in the straitjacket as well.
Oh, right. I remember seeing that.
But I did that, and just as a test, so Bianca was like, because I said I'm testing for Sharon, so I put her in it, and then I then used it on my closing for the show I had in New York. I used that because the opening invite I had Sharon.
Got it.
Because that was the picture in the show.
Got it.
And the closing, I went, I know, I'll be really clever because Bianca's hosting the closing, and I'll use that image because it's funny and referential. And then the other day, Sharon came up and said something. She said something I didn't think she'd even noticed. And she said, yeah, we were checking to see whether you put Bianca in the same straitjacket. And it had the same bit of filth on the front of it. And she was just
being
mean.
shady.
Just shady.
But, I mean, let's talk about actually that show in 2014 that you did in New York. Because that led to the book deal you got with Chronicle Books. What did you expect from the show? What was your going into it like? And then when Chronicle approached you a couple of years later, like what?
I had a literary agent to shop me.
Oh, it was okay.
He approached me.
Got it.
But I was in New York and staying at the Out Hotel, and there's this massive, 3,000 square foot art space. And I was there, and I was working on pictures, and the waiter said to me, he saw what I was doing. I was there for about a week, and he said, "Can I assist you if you're doing shoots?" And I said, "Well, yes, but who runs this place? Who curates the art space?"
Right.
And so he told me, and then I went to this guy Kenny, and I said and I was trying to be strategic because I had all of this stuff, and I remember sitting there going, I should have a show. I need to have a show in New York, but I need to get it out there.
Right.
Much like that first ever show where I put stuff up.
Right, where you just stuck it up there.
And people just went for it.
Right.
And I've done certain things in my career which are strategic, and I kind of know it will. I don't pursue things, but I know it'll bring stuff to me.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then this guy Kenny said, "Well, we're booked out for 2 years," and I went, "Well, I want a show in May, and I wanted it just at the point when season 6 finale aired because I knew
nice.
I had Bianca, I had Courtney, I had Adore, I had Darian, all shot.
Got it.
And so he said, "Well, you can have this conference room." And I went, okay. And then I went away and I looked at it and I went, well, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So and I sent him some pictures anyway, so he could see. And the next day I messaged him and I said, it's the whole thing or nothing. I can't. There's no point.
Yeah.
And he went, your work's amazing. I'm going to cancel somebody and put you in.
Wow.
So he put me in and he extended it. So it was 3 months it was in there.
Holy crap.
And it was for like 60 huge. And I did it on canvas because financially putting that stuff, I mean, it looked incredible.
But it was a lot of work.
It was a lot of, and the only way to really, I couldn't have put frame pictures in there. It would have cost $40,000.
Oh,
It would
Jesus.
have been amazing. But it was also what I wanted it to be was what I feel about drag, which was like you go into this wonderland.
Got it.
So everything was huge and colourful, and I remember even Courtney walking in and she just went, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" When she walked in, because it was you went into this world.
Got it. Okay.
And you were surrounded by these incredible creatures.
That's so amazing.
It was, and people would go back, and then I came up. Oh, and I've been mocking up a self-published book just in case, because I've just started playing because I'm always doing, and then there was a dead space, so I went, well, how can I fill that space? And I went, I don't know, ask a question. What question? Why drag? That was as simple as that.
And that's kind of how it just came about.
Yeah,
with that.
and I went, that's actually really good. It's a really good title and a really good. So it was and then I said to Boy George, I've been shooting Boy George just before I left from London. I've left from London to move to LA. The last thing shoot I did was with him, and I said to him, I'd said years ago I'd always wanted to do a book, and I'd come across it, and I'd said, "Would you write my foreword?" And he was, "Yeah, fine." It was before he was in AA. He was like, and sorry, George. And then we were shooting, and I said to him, "Would you write a foreword for me?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Absolutely." And then I started.
It's an amazing forward too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then the show happened in New York, and I emailed him, and I said, "Could you write the foreword?" And I didn't say it wasn't for the book. But I knew I needed it. It would just be good to have it. So I had it in the show. It's like the opening of the show was a big picture of Boy George I did with his foreword next to it. But then shopping it around. So subsequently, when the literary agent Dan picked me up, and then we were shopping around. The great thing was there were so many strong images already, and I had Boy George attached, and I had his foreword, and he put it round everybody. But it was bizarrely a hard sell. You'd think,
really,
every single big publisher, somebody flipped over it. I said it was amazing, but there were always people, usually straight men, going, "Ugh, drag."
And I think that's the issue too. It's so because again, drag really is not come into its own until just within the last, I'd say, 10, 11 years, if that. I mean, it's
shifted
still,
even more recently
exactly
than that. And because it's looking at drag as art, and not as cross-dressing necessarily, even though that's obviously the essence.
Right. Well, it's not a clown lineup.
No, but it's, it can be, and it's also moving it. It's moving it into. It's so varied now.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that I've always said that I think has slightly got lost, which still exists very much in San Francisco, is that real feeling of punk rock about it.
Yeah.
Because the more mainstream it gets, the more people sort of worry about it appealing to kids.
Well, exactly. And then you start going, because I do, like, as they start doing the stuff now with, like, drag story time, where now they have actually drag queens reading to kids at, like, libraries and stuff. And I think it's cool to kind of give them at least an introductory education to, I mean, this is not some crazy person.
No, it's amazing. I love it. That's all amazing. And actually, when you're a kid, I mean, I remember. No, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, so we'll skip over that one and go into what I love that you have from a quote from actually Elton John for your book, saying this is the best fucking photography book in years. Did he actually send that to you, or so he messaged you and said that?
So I had said when the book finally. So I got my deal. The book came out, and I had a publicist in London, a publicist here, and I said, they have what's called influencers. So you send copies to whoever, hoping they're going to tweet about it. Or
right.
So I said, I did a thing. I went to see at the Elton John AIDS Foundation years ago when I had my first idea for doing a book before Why Drag. And so I sent him a copy. So I know people there, so I could get it. I made sure it was given to him personally. That's my one thing about giving. You never give them to agents or managers.
Right.
You get them
in a pile somewhere.
Yeah. So I got a copy sent to him specifically, and I thought nothing of it. And I sent one to Ian McKellen, to certain people.
Just a bunch of people, okay.
And then I suddenly got my publicist said, "I'm sending you a." No, I don't think she just said, "What's your address?" or something. And then I opened the mail one day, and there's this handwritten note from Elton John. Basically, he flipped out over the book, and he just went, he said, it's the best fucking photography book in years. And he was it was the way he wrote it was so passionate and handwritten and exciting with his home address on it. And it was
the fact that it's, handwritten, to get something from someone like that who's... basically a gay god.
But he also has the most prolific photography collection in the world.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And he then ended up buying 4 prints of my stuff.
And so, do you have that framed, like, in your house?
I'm so ADD and lazy. It's like, it's in a drawer. And I keep going, it's ready to be framed, but it's still in a drawer.
It's like, I got shoots to do.
It's terrible, isn't it?
But I like to, because you've shot, you've shot some amazing drag queens, but some of the other ones that I saw that I really were enjoying were someone like Matt Dallas, you've done shoots for.
Oh, yeah.
You said you had a fun story about Luke Evans.
No, I don't have a fun story.
Okay. Tyler Oakley, you've shot. Izakara. Wait, sorry.
Who's Izakara?
God damn, I always say that one. Keisha Carr. I always. He even told me how to do it. Jackie B.
Keisha, I shot her in New York, and then she's so beautiful.
Oh, she's stunning.
That I said to her, would you come back and do? I wanted that African princess neck ring thing, and I said, would you just not wear a wig? And she just trusted me, and she really invested in it, and came and the image is because she has such a pretty face.
My favorite one was the one of her in that white dress. That's like kind of like really deep cut there, and she's just sitting there holding her face. Yeah,
it's the one with it's all it's like sculpted.
Yeah. And it's just like it's just again the most elegant, beautiful shot you have, and it's just the cleanest thing ever, and it's just her in a simple white dress, but it's just that face and
it's just that was the point. It was just and she said to me she was going to try and buzz cut, like shave her head, and I went, I'm glad you didn't. It's so perfect. It's that
so
real
natural.
African princess kind of
and I love the also I mean Jackie B. I freaking love the shot you got.
Well, that
of
was
her.
Crazy.
Really?
Yeah, because she was in the was it Casita de Campo or whatever down in it's in Silver Lake. She's before me. And I've been trying to get hold of her through friends. And in the end I went, why am I okay? Well, okay, I'll just try messaging her myself.
Got it.
So I did. And she went, oh my God, I'm doing a show. I'm never in makeup, but I am today. I'm doing a show. So why don't you come and see the show? Come and shoot. I'll give you half an hour before the show. And I went, great. So I got nervous. I get nervous before every shoot. And I was like, okay. And I packed all my stuff up early. And I get in the cab, and I'm sitting in this cab halfway to Silver Lake, and I go, oh my God, I forgot my battery for my camera. And it's all on very carefully timed because she has to be on stage.
Right.
And consequently, Roseanne and Ross Matthews were in the audience, so she was nervous. It was hideous.
It was a big deal.
So I then, to make my cab driver so amazing, he spins the car around, and he's driving like a maniac getting me back. I then grab my battery, and I'm trying to put my softbox up in the back of the cab, and anyway, we finally get there, and it's like 4 minutes till the show's about to happen. I texted her going, well, this is going to be the quickest shoot ever. And I get there, and I'm pushing past people with my lights and run into the back, and that energy of that. And she basically, I'm just like clicking like a crazy person again, like the Sharon thing. Right. And at one point, she's kind of going, what's she doing? She's kind of going,
it's just like that.
And it was just this energy. And then she saw the picture on my camera, and she went, Jackie B in pink? I don't think so. And then when she saw it, she would love it. And it's because it has so much. It's really about her.
It's really it's her. I mean, it's her to a T, and it's so much fun because I mean. The fact that you say you shot it in basically like 4 minutes.
In the tiny, tiny dressing room. That's the point of the guerrilla thing. It's like you run in and just go, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make it work?
Right.
I mean, I know how to light things like that really fast. So that's not the worry. It's just going, it's
how am I gonna do?
Composition. And I mean, the one thing that's amazing about drag queens, as opposed to models, is that they know how to fucking pose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you give them, when I've done the Marco big shots before they walk onto the runway, they've got 4 frames each, and they all turn it out every time.
Yeah.
Because they know what. Whereas if you're with a model, you can spend unless they're a good model, hours coaxing something out of it.
Well, because also then you're having to like, no, turn your hand this way, no, that way, and you just feel like you're having to tell them each little individual part of their body.
It's just and it's all the big muscle guys who you think would be great, but they spend so much time looking in the mirror. They're the most self-conscious people you could ever photograph. No,
he's like, next. Wow. So going into just because I mean you've seen probably anything and almost everything when it comes to drag makeup and drag artistry. What are kind of some of your favorite things about like either contouring or cheek stuff or all those different things? What's kind of your favorite when you kind of see different stuff out there?
I just like different stuff. So if something I haven't seen before, you know, when like someone like Ryan Burke is just creates. I mean, he once said to me, he said, I try and never do the same makeup twice, even though he said,
that's awesome.
But you know, sometimes it can look really similar.
Well, I know you had mentioned before too, to me before the show that I mean, you really like how Raja does a lot of her different, either her highlights or lowlights or different stuff with that. You said you had liked how Trixie Mattel does that kind of sharp.
Well, no,
contour,
the
like
Trixie, it was
Chicago.
when someone said to me, I was talking about the fact that when I went to Chicago, there was a very Chicago-y look.
Yeah.
that had this kind of, which now is even more. It's a young queen look where everyone's put like a piece of card or whatever.
Right, and then just done their trick like that.
But Trixie's got from when I shot Trixie, it was much gentler.
Yeah.
And then she's got bigger and bigger and bigger and got into her own thing. And I'm maybe shooting her again soon. So we'll see.
So we'll see with that one. Yeah. And then also someone like, I know it was one of your, Matthew Anderson. You said you like how,
Matthew's just this genius.
Right.
And between him and Raven, like, pretty much everything is
Raven's face is like, I mean, sick.
Yeah.
I mean, that woman can... Just like,
she's amazing.
And I like some of my favorites have been like, I mean, I like Kimchi, how she does her look. Nina Bonita is I feel one of the most versatile queens I've seen in a while. That does.
Nina's faces so I shot her and I said, and she arrived slightly not annoyed, but she laughed and she said she thought I was going to be a handful because I said to her, I want the crazy stuff.
Right.
I don't want her to be fishy. I want this, and so she arrived going. She thought I was being demanding. But the thing with Nina, but from the neck down, as I think they said on Drag Race, that the outfits are like, but her face is always...
Her face is insane.
No, and when I shot her, it was very centered about her face.
Yeah. Well, and it makes sense. But also, I mean, it's like, again, you know how to capture where they look best and how they look best with that, whether it's the closer ups or the farther away.
But it's also changing it if it doesn't work.
Right.
That's what some people don't do. They'll stick people in the same light and the same kind of background and not change it, and it doesn't work for everybody.
Right. So speaking a little bit about Drag Race, I mean, how do you feel that's affected kind of just like what you do with, like you said, they're getting a little bit more, instead of just being regular drag queens, they actually have managers and publicists.
Now I'm okay because I'm in the loop, so I'm just about to do the new Christmas Queens album. I've done 2 of them, and so I think for other photographers, I've had other photographers come to me going, "How do you get through to people?"
Right.
But I've been around for a while.
So basically, you're the one they actually want to come to.
No, there's a few. There's a few people. There's different people. There's other good photographers, but I'm one that I work particularly at the moment. I do a lot with the AAA girls with Alaska on her own, with Katja now.
Yeah.
So certain people. It's also my shoots are fun.
Yeah.
They like. I mean, it's a fucking photograph. It's
fun.
Like
you're having a good time.
Yeah.
Well, plus, I mean, it's like you're enjoying what you're doing. You're having a great time. I love this quote that you said: "Drag queens are like chocolates. You have to break through the tough outer shell to reveal the creamy, soft center. And once you do, they are delicious."
I don't know. Well,
it was a while back.
So now I just say they're all cunts.
They're all cunts. You have to be careful with a few of them, because if you break into it, you never know what kind of STD you're going to get.
You lose your hand.
You lose your face. But so you actually just had for Why Not, and then also a little bit for the Drag Around the World. You did a gallery opening back in July. For at Mr. Music Head Gallery, and that was I went to that. That was an amazing success.
That launch was incredible.
It was packed.
Well, I had Willem and Alaska performing, and God bless them. And it was, and the launch was to raise money for charity as well, and it was heaving. Obviously, when it's your own thing, if you feel like it's your birthday party, so you feel nervous all day, and you think, is anyone going to show up?
Oh, and there was like
it was a line around the block.
Oh yeah, there was a line around the block.
And I got there and just went, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it was, I'm not pretending. It was all for me, nothing to do with Willem and Alaska performing.
No, that's the great thing about it too, because like almost an hour before anything even started, there was a line down the street all the way down, and it was just like, oh yeah, there was no shortage of people showing up with that one.
It was very nice and exciting, and because in any kind of artist, you always think you're a fraud and that you're not really talented, and that's part of the demons of being creative.
Well, yeah. So, you're always your own worst critic. Yeah.
It's weird. Then you go back, but it's like, there was one picture I did years ago, which there was always, my process is to do a picture, to love it, then start working on it, hate it, and then finally, hopefully, pull it back together. It's got a bit better. But I remember going back to an old picture where I had such a crisis because the guy with an Indian headdress, it had slipped.
Oh no.
But it was this incredible, and now I look at it, it's in my home, huge thing above my bed, and it's such an amazing picture, and you go, what is wrong with you?
Right. Anyway. So, what is like one piece of advice you could give any starting photographer or anything like that to say, this is what you should look out for, or don't take yourself so seriously, or anything like that, what would be one piece of advice you could give someone starting out being in photography?
It's like you don't need money, you just need an eye, and just shoot everything, and if it's not working, try something else. It's when people get this idea, this is when people get set in an idea that they want to do, and they're really flogging a dead horse. It's just try something else.
Right. So just be flexible.
Just be flexible. And also, because now it's digital,
right,
shoot everything.
Got it.
I mean, I can't deal with tripods. I rip it off a tripod and leap around because I need the freedom.
Yeah.
And when I have clients, proper clients, they always want it on a computer so they can see it pop up. And I'll give them about 3 frames and then unplug it because I can't work.
Because you need
it slows everything down. And my work, I think, is very much about. I always said it was that moment before the moment.
Got it.
So it's the moment before the moment you expect, or it's the moment just after the moment you expect. So it's got a breath in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, thank you so much, Magnus, for coming today and talking to us all about, first of all, the inspiration you have and just your beautiful work. I mean, if you guys need to check this out, which you should, you can always follow Magnus on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. All his links are on his lower third below. Also, you can go to MagnusHastings.com and check out all his amazing photos in the galleries over there and buy some damn art. Seriously.
Buy my book. Buy my shower curtains.
Buy the shower. The shower curtains are amazing. I love those. Those are so funny, especially the one of like Courtney shaving, and it's just like it's epic. We do want to do a special thank you as well to GayLifeLA.com and our partner White Rabbit Partners for this amazing studio, as well to Impulse Group. We want to thank them. If you guys are going to be around here in LA on September 9th, make sure to show up to their soaked pool party. They're going to have all 22 chapters. You know, different people from around the world coming to enjoy this amazing LA area at the Andaz, West Hollywood. It's only $10 for tickets, so show up. There's going to be lots of pretty boys. So I'll be there, we'll be there, in our swimsuits on the Andaz, September 9th, so make sure you check it out.
I'll be in Mykonos.
Oh, you'll be in Mykonos? Damn it. Well, he's going to be with other pretty boys in Greece, so he'll be enjoying that guilty pleasure. But go to Impulse LA on Facebook and check out all the details. Thank you so much, Magnus. I really appreciate it. And have a great week, guys. We'll check you next week. Bye.